I'll go ahead and link this to the bottom of this video, but my God, it's pretty crazy how dreadful astronomy has become. This is on a, a creationist site. These people are creationists, so to speak, and they literally hold the key to exposing establishment dogma. It says here, gas giants should have never formed. Explaining the formation of planets from a solar nebula is problematic enough, but no current model can explain the formation of any of the gas giant planets. For rocks, hailstones, or sleet particles or snowflakes to merge with one another is difficult enough. They must be nearly still relative to one another or collide with the most glancing of blows. Furthermore, they must all be moving far away from a larger body, thus extending their mutual gravitational influence so that together they form an ever-growing object that can draw other objects into it. Comets and asteroids form that way, but even the four rocky or terrestrial worlds, Mercury, Venus, Earth, and Mars, would form only with great difficulty, even in the time allowed. That time might be shorter than most people appreciate. As soon as the Sun formed, the rest of the nebula should have fallen into it within 5 million years, even by the most conservative, conventional estimates. The problem? None of the gas giants could have had a core body capable of forming them in that amount of time. Gases, like molecular hydrogen and helium, which as a noble gas exists as single atoms, not molecules, could never collide and accrete with one another. Any gas giant would have to form around a rocky core from 10 to 30 times as massive as the Earth. Even so, such a mass would take at least 10 million years, and more likely, there's a misspell right there, several hundreds of millions of years, to accumulate as much gas as any of the gas giants contains. And yet after 5 million years, the solar nebula would have disappeared. The situation with Uranus and Neptune is worse. Their masses are 14.5 and 17.1 times that of Earth. But at the distance that they orbit, neither world could have accumulated that much mass, even in the time that the solar system is supposed to have existed. And here's where the shock is. Psst. Astronomers who model the formation of the solar system have kept a dirty little secret. Uranus and Neptune don't exist. Or at least, computer simulations have never explained how planets as big as the two gas giants could form so far from the Sun. Bodies orbited so slowly in the outer parts of the Sun's protoplanetary disk that the slow process of gravitational accretion would need more time than the age of the solar system to form bodies with 14.5 and 17.1 times the mass of the Earth. That's from R.N. Birth of Uranus and Neptune, Astronomy. I have no idea what that means. This is the year, obviously, but these are probably the pages. If any of my readers want to find that for me and go ahead and post it for me, that'd be excellent. And I'm not going to read the rest of this, but they say they migrate and all this other nonsense. It's really strange because they want things to migrate just the way they want them to, but they completely ignore the fact that they have not explained how the objects formed in the first place, much less why Uranus has its offset axis of orientation and why they emit heat. More heat than they're supposed to, than they receive from the Sun, which is really, really strange. It's supposed to be ice, but more about that later. Talk about a major embarrassment for planetary scientists. There, blazing away in the late evening sky, are Jupiter and Saturn, the gas giants that account for 93% of the solar system's planetary mass. And no one has a satisfying explanation of how they were made. Well, no one in the establishment does. Kerr, R.A., A Quickie Birth for Jupiters and Saturns, Science, November 2002. The reason why they don't have an account for how they were made is because they don't realize what they actually are. They are evolving stars, very old stars that are cooling and gravitationally collapsing, combining their elements into molecules. There is a quick graph I can show my readers and listeners where they actually fit in the actual solar evolution model. Here's a quick example. Neptune and Uranus are blue dwarf stars. Jupiter and Saturn are late-stage brown dwarf stars. They were all, at one point, red dwarfs, orange dwarfs, sun-like stars, white stars, and large blue stars which are really, really hot. In this graph, I show where the red dwarf, Glycine 433, is, right there, the gray dwarf 433c, right there, and the blue dwarf 433 Bravo, right there. These are all exoplanets, or stars. Whichever way you say it, they're both correct. As the star cools and dies, it moves down this basic Hertzsprung-Russell diagram and becomes what people call planet. Thus, the planet is the evolved star. They were never mutually exclusive. The reason why establishment astronomy labeled them as mutually exclusive is because planets don't possess spectrums. So they say, oh, well, they must be different. No, the star possesses a spectrum, but then when it loses its spectrum, it can't be seen anymore, obviously. So what do astronomers do? They call it a different name. They call them planets. It's one of the gravest mistakes in all of astronomy.